On November 14, 1973, a 14-year-old boy disappeared in the southern Russian region of Rostov, and on May 11, 1975, another boy, 11-year-old Andrei, disappeared. The police conducted a comprehensive search, but it yielded no results. Andrei's mother told the police that before his disappearance, the boy had gone to meet a man who was making a documentary film at a nearby house. When the police checked this information, they determined that the man the boy had gone to meet was Anatoly Slivko, an award-winning and respected local man known for making documentary films. He also ran a boys' club, Shergid. Because of all of the above, he was not a suspect to the police, and they did not even question him. Years passed, the boys kept disappearing. Slivko continued to make his documentary, and the police did nothing, until the prosecutor, Tamara Langova, appeared. After the investigation she conducted, it was established that Slivko had made several documentaries, but his documentaries recorded exactly what happened to the missing boys. Anatoly Yemelianovich Slivko was born on December 28, 1938 in Dagestan. As you will see, his life story is incredibly reminiscent of another Russian serial killer, Andrei Chikatilo's life story. You will also be able to watch a video about Andrei Chikatilo on our channel soon, so please subscribe. Slivko's earliest childhood was marked by darkness, caused by the forced collectivization of agriculture by Joseph Stalin. Since there was no food, as a boy he was extremely thin, almost on the verge of malnutrition. In childhood, he had a problem with bedwetting and suffered from insomnia that would accompany him throughout his life. When he was still a child, his father was drafted into the army in the war against Germany, where he was captured, but later returned home. At that time, anyone who had been in the camp and returned home was treated as a traitor who had surrendered to the enemy and was therefore ostracized and publicly ridiculed. As a teenager, Slivko had to endure bullying at school due to his father's alleged cowardice. He also reportedly suffered from hydrocephalus at birth, which later caused several genital and urinary problems, including bedwetting as a child and erectile dysfunction as an adolescent boy. Due to all his external and physical problems, he was ashamed of himself and remained isolated from his peers for much of his early years. He attempted to enter Moscow State University, but reportedly failed the entrance exam, which was otherwise a common situation for children of World War II camp survivors. After an unsuccessful attempt to enter university, he worked for a while in the civil service, after which he moved to Stavropol in the Rostov region, where he worked as a telephone engineer from 1960. Soon after, his young sister moved in with him. Since he was not involved with women, she decided to find him a wife and introduced him to her friend Lyudmila. Later, during questioning, he stated that they had had intercourse less than 10 times, and each time with the aim of conceiving a child. They had 2 sons, and after the birth of the second, he never had intercourse with her again. On the surface, he was a respected member of the community who had gained the status of a local celebrity for making amateur documentaries about German atrocities in World War II and helping young boys in his own boy club. It is not known when he first started running the children's club, but after witnessing a terrible event, something changed in him. In 1961, when he turned 23, Slivko witnessed a terrible car accident in which a boy in his early teens, wearing a young pioneer uniform, was killed. For some reason, something happened that Slivko could not or would not explain. This scene aroused him sexually. For years after the incident, he would recall the accident, the boy, the smell of death, gasoline and fire. These were the last moments when he could have sought professional help, but it never happened. As he became obsessed with this scene, he started using his position in the boys' club he led to explore his dark interests more deeply. Once or twice a year, he would form a close friendship with a boy, usually between the ages of 11 and 15. He would choose boys who were short for their age and, after gaining their trust, would tell them about a famous experiment that involved hanging in a controlled manner on a rope to stretch their spines and thus gain a few extra inches of height. But they had to hang until they began to lose consciousness, after which he would revive them. If the boy expressed interest, Slivko would arrange a meeting. When the boy appeared, he would be waiting for him with a camera ready to record, as well as a noose set on a tree. His own recordings show that the boys have complete trust in him. Many of them would put the noose around their necks themselves. When the boys lost consciousness, he would lower them to the ground and masturbate. The boys would then wake up, but they would not remember anything. In the following months, Slivko would use these videos as pornography to relive the memory and satisfy himself. When they could no longer satisfy his fantasies, he would find a new victim. However, in some cases, Slivko could not control himself and the children would die. He killed his first victim in 1964, an unidentified homeless boy whose age was estimated by the investigators to be around 15 years old. Slivko claimed that this victim was killed unintentionally. Since he could not revive this boy when he was unconscious, Slivko dismembered the body and buried him. He also destroyed the film and photographs he had taken. 9 years later, on November 14, 1973, a 15-year-old boy named Alexander Nesmyanov went to meet Slivko and disappeared forever. He claimed later in the proceedings that in all cases, the death was accidental. But he did not destroy the videos of this murder, and when the police examined them, they determined that it was not true. In one case, you can clearly see a boy who is suffocating and trying to reach for a tree and get up. But after he managed to grab the tree, Slivko ran to him, violently separated him from the tree, and started pulling him by the legs so that the boy would lose consciousness as soon as possible. In certain cases, he would not put the boy down after losing consciousness, but only after death. Then he would ritually pose them, film and photograph them, after which he would dismember their bodies, pour gasoline on their limbs and torso, and set them on fire to remind himself of the traffic accident that caused his excitement. On May 11, 1975, he killed his third victim, an 11-year-old boy, Andrei. This murder was committed in the same manner as first two. Slivko continued his practice for the next decade. He killed one more victim on July 23, 1985, 13-year-old Sergei Pavlov. As in all other cases, boy said he was going to see the manager of the club and never came back. That year in November 1985, a prosecutor named Tamara Langova, who was investigating the disappearance of Sergei Pavlov, became interested in the club's activities, but had no evidence that there was anything illegal in the way the club was run. But when she talking to the boys who were in the club, they began to reveal what happened at the meetings with Slivko. They talked about hanging and how they experienced temporary amnesia from losing consciousness and that Slivko was doing some experiments on them. After the investigation, Anatoly Slivko was arrested in December 1985 and charged with 7 murders and 7 counts of sexual abuse. He confessed to the crimes, and in January and February 1986, Slivko led investigators to the bodies of 6 of his victims, but was unable to locate the body of his first victim. He was convicted of the 7 murders he was charged with and confessed to, but there is a high probability that this is not the final number of his victims. Investigators came to that conclusion because he would take the shoes of his victims as trophies. One of his videos shows a boy that he killed and laid on the ground, and around him he arranged the shoes of other boys. Investigators counted 9 pairs of shoes. Various compilations of these recordings can be found by searching the police reports, but as you may have heard, they contain some truly gruesome scenes. For this reason, we are limited with what we can show you. In 1986, he was sentenced to death. For 3 years, he waited for the execution of the death sentence in prison. In 1989, he worked with the police to help arrest another serial killer, Andrei Chikatilo. Only a few hours after the police interviewed him in connection with this case, Anatoly Slivko was executed. If you are enjoying real crime stories, please consider subscribing, as we are going to explore killers from all over the world.